was obviously a historic campaign, but we should point out that Bernie Sanders was also a historic campaign. He got more votes than any Democratic socialist has ever got in American history. And it's telling about the Democratic Party, some people say. You know, when your husband ran, he ran a much different campaign as a centrist, as a new Democrat, as the third way. You know, he was credited with NAFTA and a balanced budget. He was and is a friend of Wall Street. So when you say he should be in charge of the economy, is he in tune with today's Democratic Party?
Well, let me make a couple of points about that, Brett. First, I applaud Senator Sanders' vigorous, determined campaign, and I think a lot of the issues he raised are clearly on the minds of Americans, and the campaign that we ran against one another was primarily about issues. We have a lot of the same goals, like making sure everybody has health care, but we have different approaches. So I think that our primary contest was good for the Democratic Party and good for America. And I do believe, based on historical evidence, that our economy does better when we have a Democrat in the White House. And for me, I want to bring what we have learned in the last 25 years to bear on making sure we have more good jobs with rising incomes. And that's going to be both unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit of America, supporting small businesses that are not being created and growing at the rate that we expect in our country. We've got to get back to investing in America, creating the kinds of investments that will produce good jobs and rising incomes in the future. So I think there are lessons to learn from what my husband did during his 8 years. And I think that President Obama doesn't get the credit he deserves for having to deal with a terrible financial crisis with the Great Recession when he got into office. So I'm going to be looking for good advice, and one of my best advisors about what we can do to really help people who feel left out and left behind will be my husband.
You have said that President Obama got the country out of an economic ditch, but if you look at the polls, the average of recent polls, the right direction, wrong direction, 65% of Americans say the country's headed in the wrong direction. So what specifically would you do differently with the economy than President Obama has done?
Well, I think that 76 months of job creation is a good start.
Well, it's just not different. I mean, what specifically would you do differently than the Obama administration?
Right. But I think what I want to establish is that we've gotten out of that deep ditch we were dropped into. It took a while because it was a pretty severe recession, and a lot of people haven't yet recovered to where they were before the recession. That's why I've said we need a big infrastructure plan. I don't understand why today's Republican Party in Congress opposes the kind of investments in infrastructure that we've been doing literally from the beginning of the Republic. I want to have as big an infrastructure project as Dwight Eisenhower had when he did the interstate highways. Our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our ports, our airports, our water systems. We have work to do. And it's good work that will put people back into the middle class, keep them there, and it will make us more competitive. I also want to do more to incentivize the return and growth of manufacturing jobs in America. And finally, we've got to combat climate change, and I think we do that with clean, renewable energy jobs. So I have a specific